Hi folks, and today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, your butt. So over the last really several weeks, I've had conversations with many people about the hips and the glutes. And so if you're thinking this is directed at you, on one hand, I'm saying, no, it's not. There's been a lot of conversations. It's very important. On the other hand, hey, if it'll help, yeah, this is directed at you, but your butt is really important. You'll hear about the hips, your glutes, your core. They're all the same. They're actually all different as well. It's all that intersection and your butt back in there, all related. We're really going to talk specifically about your butt or your glutes. So your glutes, you have three of them, the maximus, minimus, and medius. You have three of them. Together, they're the largest muscle in your body. And why are they so important in runners, and why do I harp upon them? There's really two reasons. They should be providing you your power. They're the largest muscle you have. You want to be using them because they're going to be able to do the best job at helping to propel you forward. So they're good for power. They're also very important for stability. In the end, running is nothing more than a series of hops on one foot. You're generally only on one foot at a time. So if you look at 180 cadence per minute, which some of you are faster, some are slower, that's like 10,800 hops every single minute. And if those glutes aren't strong to both power you and then in conjunction with your hips instantly stabilize you when that foot hits the ground, you're going to shimmy. And that shimmy, you won't feel the shimmy, but the shimmy is going to be in the hips. It's going to be all the way down the leg. So you're going to end up with knee pain, hip pain, tight-eye T-bands, all those things. In fact, one book I read by a physical therapist said roughly 75% of all the running injuries that he treats, he traces back to weakness in the hips, glute, and core. So that's why for a lot of you, I put in reminders in your training plan. I don't do it for everybody because you've either asked me not to do that or you're doing something different. But if you want the reminders and they're not doing it, let me know and I'll stick them in because you want to take care of your hips, glutes, and core. Now, as it relates to the glutes, three things to think about. They need to be active, they need to be strong, and they need to have some endurance. So a very common problem is to have glutes that are plenty strong and they can go for a long time, but they're not active. They're not involved in your running. And that's because one of the worst things for your glutes is sitting. And we all tend to sit a lot. So you really need to make sure that you can kind of feel those glutes and that they're active. There are all kinds of tests that you can do to see whether or not your glutes are activating. There are all kinds of tests that you can do to see whether or not you've got the right strength. And I'm not sure about an endurance test. I think that probably comes from the test of time of doing that. Now, rather than go through any specific tests, and if you have questions, I can certainly give you some of them. I'll refer you to some resources. Here's a book, You Can Run Pain-Free, and there's several tests in there as well as exercises that you can do to find out whether or not your glutes are active and whether or not they're strong. Another book is called Anatomy for Runners. Very good book. A little more, I guess, technical than this book. For any of you that live locally, if you'd like to borrow one of these books, let me know. You can also go on Google. You put in glute activation exercises, glute strength tests, and things like that. You'll find all kinds of great examples for how you can check those things to find out. But thing number one is you got to make sure that you're active. Now, I do some things before any run to help make sure that my glutes are active. So a couple of things that I will do. The chair out of the way. You can't easily see this from here, but I will stand straight on one foot. The other foot is out to my side, and I will do circles about the size of a beach ball. And I want to feel it in this glute because this is stabilizing me, and I want to try and focus on this glute being the one that's making the movement, not moving it with something else, and then switch to the other side. You can also do the same thing. You literally put your hand in your butt to feel this, and that's driving the leg back and feeling that glute contract, and try and think about your glute doing the work. Sometimes I'll do a few bridges. I've got a friend on Facebook that many of you have as well, that she said before she gets into a race or a workout, she will punch her glutes, and that's what works for her. But you want to do things to make sure that your glutes are active, and then some exercises to make sure that they're strong and have some endurance. Now, a common problem is, gee, Mark, if I just had 100 hours a week, I could do all the freaking stuff that you tell me to do. But I would tell you, if you don't have time to take it's probably 10 or 15 minutes 3 times a week to work on that glute strength, the core strength in your hips, run less. take a mile out that day, and instead of doing that mile, go and do some exercises. I realize that's still easier said than done. I tend to do mine when I'm watching TV because you can just lay there and do things. They're not particularly intense, but having a strong butt and an active butt and one that can go the distance with you is not only going to make you a better runner, it's going to help keep you off the injury train.